340 meters down in the East China Sea, something enormous lies in the dark. The water here is cold and still. No current strong enough to disturb the silt. No light reaches this depth. Whatever rests on this floor has been here since April 7th, 1945. Lying in two great pieces, the larger section nearly 600 feet long, the smaller tumbled a short distance away as though thrown clear by some final violence. The shape begins to resolve out of the darkness. Hull plating, a turret, gun barrels still pointing nowhere in particular. And there, gracing the bow of the wreck, still intact, still 6 feet wide, a bronze chrysanthemum, the imperial crest of Japan, etched into the prow of something so large it takes time to understand what you are looking at. Whatever is down here was built in absolute secrecy. Its true dimensions were classified for years by the Japanese government. Its firepower exceeded anything afloat. And on the morning it sailed for the last time, every single senior officer aboard knew it was not coming back. This is not a story about whether the ship sinks. It is a story about why it sailed. March 1945. Japan is losing the Pacific War by every measure that counts. The Allied drive across the ocean has not been stopped. It has barely been slowed. Island after island, Guadalcanal, Saipan, Leyte, Iwo Jima. Now the Americans are on Okinawa, 160 miles from the Japanese mainland. The last barrier before the home islands themselves, the Imperial Japanese Navy has not been a coherent fighting force for months. The Solomons campaign bled it of trained air crew it could never replace. The Battle of the Philippine Sea was a massacre in the air. Leyte Gulf was the largest naval battle in history, and the IJN lost it conclusively. Thus, 4 carriers, 3 battleships, 10 cruisers, 9 destroyers, gone in 4 days. What remained afterward was not a fleet. It was the memory of one. In a private briefing room in Tokyo, Emperor Hirohito listens to his military commanders outline Japan's response to the Okinawa landings. Massed kamikaze strikes, army fortifications, a campaign of attrition designed to make the invasion of the home islands too costly to contemplate. The emperor listens. Then he asks a question. But what about the Navy? What are they doing to assist in defending Okinawa? Have we no more ships? The admirals in that room know the honest answer. Japan has no more ships worth speaking of. The Navy is finished. To say so plainly would be to say something the room cannot contain. So no one says it. Instead, they go away and invent an operation. Everything that follows, all 4,137 deaths, flows from that moment of silence. Begin not with the guns. Begin with the secrecy. Sisal rope curtains were hung around the construction dock at the Kure Naval Shipyard. The dock itself was deepened a full meter to accommodate the hull. The gantry crane overhead was upgraded to lift armor plates that standard equipment could not manage. 1/4 of the dock was roofed over entirely to block the view from a nearby hill. 23 different blueprints were drawn up and discarded before a final design was settled in March of 1937. 50 scale models were tested in a hydrodynamics basin to find the optimal hull shape. The Japanese Navy did not simply build this ship, they hid it. What they were hiding was this: a battleship 862 feet long, displacing 71,699 tons at full load, heavier than anything any navy had ever put to sea. Her main armament was 9 18.1-inch guns arranged in 3 triple turrets, each turret weighing more than a 1930s-era destroyer. Each gun could hurl a 3,220-pound shell 29 miles. The blast from a full main battery salvo was so violent that the anti-aircraft crews on the upper deck were required to go below and seal themselves inside the hull before the guns fired. Warning buzzers were installed to give them time. At Leyte Gulf, the buzzers failed. Men were killed by the concussion of their own weapons. Officer Naoyoshi Ishida reported his first impression when he boarded. How huge it is. When you walk inside, there are arrows telling you which direction is the front and which is the back. Otherwise, you can't tell. For a couple of days, I didn't even know how to get back to my own quarters. She was the most powerful warship ever built. She was also obsolete. Japan itself had demonstrated this at Pearl Harbor in December 1941, and again in the months that followed. Battleships sunk at anchor, battleships sunk at sea by aircraft that never came within gun range. The carrier had replaced the battleship as the master of the Pacific. The Yamato's guns could fire 29 miles. The aircraft of an American carrier strike group could attack from 200. She was the most powerful gun platform ever built in a war that had already sentenced gun platforms to death. All that engineering, all that secrecy, all that iron. Japan had forged the future in the hull of the past, and the future was already coming for her. On approximately April 5, 1945, the captains are summoned to a briefing aboard Yamato in Tokuyama Harbor. Vice Admiral Seiichi Ito presides. He is 54 years old, tall and stooped, with a square-cut, rugged face that has aged the way professional soldiers age. Not from violence, but from responsibility. He graduated 15th in his class of 148 from the Imperial Naval Academy. He has spent the war in staff and command billets, and he has already tried to stop what is about to be proposed. The plan is laid out. A surface special attack force, Yamato, the light cruiser Yahagi, 8 destroyers, will sortie from Tokuyama without air cover, steam south through the East China Sea, engage American transports off Okinawa, and beach on the Kurama Islands to fight as shore batteries and infantry until every man is dead. No return fuel is provisioned. No air cover exists to provide. No realistic assessment gives the force a meaningful chance of reaching the island at all. Not one of the 9 captains in the room supports the plan. Not Ito, not Rear Admiral Keizo Kimura, whose destroyers will form the escort ring. Not Captain Kosaku Aruga, who commands Yamato herself. Not Captain Tamechi Hara aboard Yahagi. Every professional judgment in the room is identical. This accomplishes nothing that justifies the cost. They propose alternatives, night raids, disruption operations, anything that preserves a chance of doing actual damage. Their proposals are heard and set aside. Vice Admiral Ryunosuke Kusaka has been sent from Combined Fleet Headquarters for precisely this moment. He is not there to discuss the plan. He is there to enforce it. When Ito's objections have been stated and restated and cannot be answered on their merits, Kusaka ends the argument with a single sentence. You are being offered a glorious way to die. A samurai cannot refuse a glorious death. This is not rhetoric. It is the operating system of an entire culture, and Kusaka has invoked it deliberately because he knows it cannot be countered. Ito cannot answer it, not because he lacks the intelligence to find an answer, but because the code has no off switch. A man cannot be argued out of his own honor. Ito accepts the mission. The trap is complete. That night aboard Yamato, the galley is opened. The cooks are ordered to break out everything. The reserve rations, the best cuts, the bottles they have been keeping for some unspecified occasion. Crates of sake are distributed to every division on the ship. The cooks prepare sea bream served whole in red bean paste, and down on the mess decks the sailors drink themselves into boisterous toasts, drinking to one another's deaths, laughing in a way that echoes off steel walls and fills the passageways with something that sounds, in the dark, almost like joy. In the officers' quarters, the sound is different. There is no sound at all. In his cabin, Vice Admiral Ito is writing letters to his wife Chitose, whom he has been married to for 23 years, to his 3 daughters, 2 of them still teenagers, and to his son, a 21-year-old naval aviator based at a field in Kyushu. The letters are careful. He does not write what he knows. He does not need to. Chitose already knows. They all already know. He seals the letters and sets them aside. 2 days earlier, 67 cadets from the Etajima Naval Academy had come aboard. They were new enough to the Navy to still believe in its future. When word came that they were to disembark, that untrained officers were more hindrance than help, that Japan needed its future skippers to survive and lead, they begged to stay. Not one of them wanted to leave. The executive officer shook his head. They were sent ashore to watch from the harbor as Yamato cleared the breakwater. And at the Tokuyama fuel depot, at midnight, something small and unauthorized happens. The fuel handlers understand what a one-way mission means. Against orders specifying the minimum amount required, they fill the tanks beyond what was authorized, as much of the remaining fuel in the depot as they can transfer. A quiet act by ordinary men who cannot stop the machine but can at least do something. It almost certainly makes no difference. They do it anyway. What Vice Admiral Ito does not know, what no man aboard any ship in the Surface Special Attack Force knows, is that the Americans are already waiting. The United States Navy has been reading Japanese communications for months. Operation Tengo is not a secret. Before Yamato cleared her moorings, American commanders had already decoded the mission, the route, and the destination. Submarines were pre-positioned in the Bungo Strait. Task Force 58, Vice Admiral Mark Mitcher's carrier force, was already repositioning its strike groups. Mitcher was a small, leathery man, 130 pounds, who wore his aviator's cap backward and sat facing aft on his bridge to count his pilots home. And as a contingency, in the event the air attack somehow failed, Admiral Raymond Spruance was assembling 6 battleships, 7 cruisers, and 21 destroyers as a surface backup. The Japanese are sailing toward a reception prepared entirely for them. In the Bungo Strait, in the fading light of April 6th, a submarine commander peers through his periscope at the formation passing overhead. The largest shape in the column, he decides, is probably an aircraft carrier. He reports it as such. He was looking at Yamato. He didn't know what he was seeing. The last remaining pride of the Imperial Japanese Navy passed over him in the dark, and he couldn't tell what it was. The formation clears Tokuyama on the afternoon of April 6th. Yahagi leads. Yamato steams at the center. 8 destroyers form a protective ring, each 1,500 meters out, the whole formation making 22 knots through the East China Sea. Before they have reached open water, the destroyer Asashimo develops engine trouble and turns back. The escort is already down to 7 ships. Aboard Yahagi, Captain Tamechi Hara has already written his farewell letter. He is one of the most experienced surface warfare officers in the Imperial Navy, and he has made no illusions about what this is. He wrote that the combined fleet had shrunk unbelievably, that he was going on a surface Toko mission, that he was happy and proud of the opportunity. He was not being theatrical. He meant it. That night, the American submarines shadow the formation south, surfacing to radio positions to Task Force 58. The Japanese see them. They fire. They cannot stop the reports from going out. In the morning, 2 American PBM Mariner flying boats arrive and begin circling the formation at altitude. Yamato's 18.1-inch bow guns open up on them with beehive shells. The enormous main battery elevated at maximum angle, firing specialized anti-aircraft rounds at surveillance aircraft. She cannot drive them off. The planes circle. They report. And somewhere to the south, 386 aircraft begin rising from 15 carrier flight decks. Yamato fires her main guns at reconnaissance planes. She is announcing herself to the entire ocean. Come and find us. Here we are. April 7th, 1945. 12:32 in the afternoon. Ensign Mitsuru Yoshida stands at his observation post on Yamato's bridge. He is approximately 20 years old. He did not choose this mission, did not oppose it, did not have the rank or the years for either. He arrived at his post and watches through the armored bridge windows as the sky fills with aircraft. Captain Aruga issues a single order. Open fire. The 18.1-inch main batteries speak. 9 guns together, a concussion felt in the chest at a distance of miles, the deck trembling underfoot even inside the superstructure. Anti-aircraft rounds claw upward into the overcast. 162 25mm guns and 25 5-inch guns join the roar simultaneously. The noise is total. A man at the observation window near Yoshida is struck by a shell fragment. Yoshida hears the dull thud of the skull against the wall. The largest naval guns ever built are firing at reconnaissance aircraft. They cannot stop them. 500 miles away and 6 months earlier, American strike planners had studied every photograph from the sinking of Musashi, Yamato's sister ship, lost at Leyte Gulf in October 1944. Musashi had been struck from both sides, and the bilateral flooding had actually kept her fighting for hours before she went under. The lesson the Americans took was clinical. Next time, attack one side only. Flood only one side, force the engineers to choose between capsizing and counter-flooding, and make both choices fatal. The torpedo runs concentrate on Yamato's port side. Lieutenant Commander Chandler Swanson leads Torpedo Squadron VT-84 into the attack. He has already told his 14 Avengers exactly what their job is. This squadron will attack the battleship, and only in case of necessity will any pilot drop on any other target. Now he splits his force into 2 flights, a 5-pronged approach from multiple angles simultaneously, impossible to dodge cleanly. Swanson watches the sky fill with colored smoke. Purple, red, yellow, green. Anti-aircraft bursts from Yamato's guns, blossoming in every direction. He reports afterward that it would have been beautiful if you didn't know it was so deadly. The port side floods. The list begins. Yoshida watches torpedo tracks converging from multiple directions. Silver lines in the water, silent from this distance, impossibly fast. Yamato turns to try to bring her bow parallel to the tracks. It buys her seconds. On her left flank, the destroyer Hamikaze takes hits and begins to go. Her stern rises. Within 30 seconds she is gone, and where she was, there is only a circle of white foam. The list reaches 15 degrees. Captain Aruga orders counterflood of the starboard engineering spaces. The men in those spaces are given no warning. No one can call this cruelty. Aruga is trying to save his ship, trying to save 3,000 men from a capsizing hull, and there is no time to evacuate compartments that have to be flooded immediately. He does what a commander in that position does. But hundreds of men below decks, men who cannot see the sky or feel the list or read in the angle of the floor what the angle means, are sentenced in the dark without a word reaching them. The counter-flood does not save the ship. At 2 in the afternoon, 3 bombs detonate amidships. At 2:02, the abandoned ship order is finally given. The list is already past the angle from which Yamato can recover. She rolls to port. The armor and the iron and the 1,170 main battery rounds and all the sack from last night's feast and the farewell letters sealed in the admiral's cabin. All of it going over together, and then the list reaches 90 degrees and the ammunition magazine goes. The explosion rises 20,000 feet. A pillar of fire and white smoke visible from miles away. Yoshida has been thrown clear, is in the water, looks back and watches the smoke rise, then gradually thin, then lift. When it is gone, there is nothing beneath it. Not a hull, not a turret, not a mast, just the East China Sea, flat and gray-green as though nothing had been there at all. The great battleship Yamato, pride of the Imperial Navy, a survivor will write, had vanished into the sea. The Imperial Navy was finished. The time is 2:23. From first attack to final explosion, 106 minutes. The numbers are as follows. Yamato carried 3,332 men. 269 survived. 3,055 did not. Yahagi was struck by 12 bombs and 7 torpedoes and sank 1 minute after the last bomb hit. Of her 736-man crew, 446 were killed. 4 destroyers are gone. The total Japanese dead across the entire operation: 4,137. American losses: 10 aircraft, 12 men. Captain Aruga's body is never recovered. He had lashed himself to the binnacle rather than be pulled free of his ship. Vice Admiral Ito is last seen retiring to his sea cabin as Yamato rolls. Mitsuru Yoshida is pulled from the water. He survives. He will one day write the only account from Yamato's bridge, the book that becomes the single bridge across that silence. Captain Hara survives, though Yahagi does not. Among the dead is a man named Kunio Nakatani, an ensign, an assistant communications officer drafted out of his classroom at Keio University. He was born in the United States. Both of his younger brothers served in the United States Army. Yoshida will write of him later that his death must have been as splendid as the deaths of his fellows. An American-born man in a Japanese uniform killed by American aircraft while his brothers wore American uniforms. The war folded inside itself. Return now to the farewell letters, the ones Ito wrote on the night of April 5th, in the quiet above the noise of the party below. He wrote to Chitose. He wrote to his daughters. He wrote to his son, the 21-year-old naval aviator based in Kyushu. Vice Admiral Seiichi Ito went down with his ship on April 7th, 1945. On April 17th, 1945, 10 days later, his only son was killed in a kamikaze attack targeting Allied forces near Okinawa. Father and son, fleet commander and aviator, the same campaign, the same island, 10 days apart, neither knowing the other's fate. The mission Ito had opposed, the mission designed to inspire and sustain the kamikaze effort, sent him to the bottom of the East China Sea. And then the campaign it was built to serve reached out and took his son. Japan rebuilt. The Imperial Navy was dissolved. In 1974, a writer named Leiji Matsumoto imagined a different ending. The great battleship raised, rebuilt as a starship, sent on a mission across the galaxy to save the Earth. Space battleship Yamato became a cultural phenomenon, spawning films and sequels across decades. A nation that had lost everything sent the symbol of its defeat on a journey to save humanity. American strategists studying the Pacific Endgame noted later that Japan's willingness to expend its people in suicide operations at Okinawa, at sea, in the air, was a factor in the decision to use atomic weapons rather than invade. Operation Tengo is part of that calculus. 3,000 men sent to their deaths to demonstrate national will helped write the logic of what came next. In 2016, survey teams used digital imaging to document the wreck in detail. What they found, 340 meters down in 2 pieces, was a ship still recognizable as itself. The massive propellers, a detached main gun turret, the hull plating enormous and intact, and on the bow, where it has rested since April 7th, 1945. The chrysanthemum, 6 feet wide. The imperial symbol of Japan, still gracing the prow, as though she arrived at last at the island she was sent for and simply chose to stay. Her bow still points toward Okinawa. The senior officers who conceived this mission could not tell the emperor the truth of what his navy had become. They could not say plainly in a briefing room in Tokyo that the fleet was already gone and that sending what remained would accomplish nothing but the deaths of the men aboard. They were unable to speak that sentence. The culture they served had made such a sentence unspeakable. And so they built an operation around its absence, dressed it in the language of sacrifice and honor, and sent 4,000 men to drown rather than admit what every one of those men already knew. The Yamato still lies where she fell. Whatever she was built to be, whatever she was built to prove, she is this now, the place where the cost of that silence settled and stayed.